Yeah, I want to talk to you from more of an entrepreneur perspective. But first, I want to tell you that I figured out what that album was. It was the Isaac Hayes Movement.
Okay, yeah.
And that was the one with the swirl.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one we had. But moving on from that, how many people know who your father is? I heard a lot during a lot of your interviews, I didn't hear a lot of people ask you about that. I see you had him in the background of some of your Zooms.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think people probably, I probably say 50% of the people know.
All right.
Yeah.
And what's the number one question they ask? Can you sing?
Or what was it like growing up with a famous father?
Got it. Okay. All right. So moving on from that, Fanbase.
Yeah.
Now you told me the other day that you had raised money in a way, and I also saw this on the Breakfast Club, that you were able to raise money through a crowdfunding that wasn't available to people who didn't have money for a long time. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So I took advantage of the Jobs Act, which was signed into law by Barack Obama and Joe Biden in 2012, took effect 2013. Okay. So from, what is it, I think it was 1912 to 2000, I want to say 19, wait, I'm trying to make sure I got it right. Might have been 1935 to 2015. It was like 80 years that you had to be an accredited investor to invest in early stage startups. So that means you had to have a net worth of $1 million minus your house, or make $200,000 a year for 2 consecutive years. And that pretty much knocked out anybody. I don't care what color you were, just all people, 99.9% of people, from being able to invest in early stage startups. So if you ever wonder why no one, knew when to invest in IBM or Google or Apple or Microsoft or Facebook or whatever, only wealthy people knew about these opportunities. And so the Jobs Act wiped out the accredited investor rule and allows people like me to raise capital from the general public, which is really a great opportunity because we can fund our businesses, but don't have to really seek out standard investment protocols to be able to capture that money, which is especially hard for Black founders. So to be able to raise money from the general public, I think is phenomenal.
So how did what made you decide to go this route instead of just starting from, scratch? A lot of times in the Black community, we don't like, writing. We don't like doing grants. We don't like applying for things. Yeah. What makes you different?
I think it was just the necessity, right? We were in the middle of COVID and I wanted to raise capital and no one was really moving around. And also I had a couple of venture capital meetings, and the tone in which VCs spoke to me, I didn't really appreciate. It was almost like, I don't know, they were looking for reasons to not invest. Like, oh, well, come back when you have this, or come back when you do that. And I'm like, that's not what other VCs have to do. That's not what other startup founders have to do. Other startup founders can walk into a room with an idea on a napkin and walk away with a check for $5 million.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity to do the Reg CF, it was a challenge because you definitely have to have your business together. It made me a better founder. It made me, know my business more in depth because there is an enormous amount of paperwork that you have to file and a lot of things that you have to go through to really do that. An audit, financial review, you incorporate, you have just all kinds of stuff, just numerous, it's a 3-month process to really onboard, to get everything to pass compliance, to be able to even start your raise. And a lot of people don't even make it through that process because it's just too daunting. It's intimidating. But I was up for the challenge, and you want to raise capital for your business, you got to do it.
Is this your first business?
Not my first, it's my first startup. I've produced for over 20 years. I've been a voiceover artist. And just been an all-around entrepreneur my entire life, but I think this is probably the largest undertaking that I've taken. But it's been such a joy because it really comes from a place of passion. So it's the fun part is all of this, is the getting to the next step in that process as we continue to grow.
Now I've heard that when you find you get funding, that there's a lot of looking over your shoulder, a lot of, well, what's going on this week, what's going on next week? Are you getting a lot of that? Are you having to explain yourself a lot, or do you have the freedom to make your moves?
Well, I mean, I definitely want to keep our investors aware of what's going on. We have over 8,000 investors.
Right.
I definitely want to make sure that we stay in constant communication with them. I'm often on the app, which is really one of the best places if you ever really want to ask me a question. I tend to be in audio rooms from time to time, and I'm more than happy to answer questions to people that have them about investing, about the process of the startup. But we also send out newsletters and then also give investor updates through the Start Engine portal. So it's really good to be able to communicate with that. I think, you know, I'm not going to say it's necessarily looking over their shoulder, but a lot of people are definitely first-time investors, and some of them do get a little antsy, but that's totally fine, and I expect that. So I tend to over-communicate, which is not a problem for me because I want people to, understand where I come from, who I am. You're investing as much into myself as you are to Fanbase, and so I really want you to understand what I believe and how I feel we should run the company in the direction we should go. So I don't mind over communicating.
I know that the other day when we were speaking, you said that you got your second round of what is seed funding. And I know you collect from people as well. Are you still doing that? The 250?
So we closed. So both rounds are now closed. So I did the first round of $3.4 million, and the second round was 2.6 million.
Okay.
We raised a total of $6 million. That one just closed on Friday last week. We got to 2.6 million. So that's phenomenal for us. I think I'm extremely excited to be able to achieve that. And now we're just getting ready for Series A. So Series A is going to be a little bit more complex. It's another challenge, but we're preparing for that now and more than happy to take on that challenge.
What is your goal with this business?
To disrupt. I think, there's two significant things that I think Fanbase will do. Number one, it's going to emancipate people from systems that basically lock them out, right? The ability to distribute your content to anyone across the globe and have people be able to subscribe to you is an enormous feat. So that's one. And then I think it's also going to really provide an opportunity for people to make money in ways that they never made money before, really pursue their dreams and their passions by being able to, do those particular things, do those things that they always thought that they wanted to do, teach classes and be master orators and fitness enthusiasts and influencers and people that can really monetize the information and the talent that they have in a way that they've never been able to before. Okay,
so let me make sure I'm clear on this because I've never dealt with investors, but seed funding is what you basically did when you collected the small amounts from everybody, and then you got to the 6 million. So when you say you're getting ready for, you said Series A. Okay, how does that work?
So that'll probably be more through a traditional venture capital route.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I kind of went through this route because it shows VCs that I can raise money without them. So the ability to say, hey, most people that are in the position that I am look to VCs as the only way to raise capital, and it's super, super hard. So for us, I could actually do what we call a Reg A plus through Start Engine, and that would allow me to raise up to $75 million the same way through accredited and non-accredited investors. And so that's another opportunity to do so if I wanted to. But also, I don't really discount the value that VCs bring. So you also want strategic partnerships. I don't mind working with VCs and would love the help of VCs that have relationships and opportunity can help this company scale. So you definitely want those types of relationships. But I think it's good to know that we've proven ourselves. So it gives us a little bit of leverage in dealing with these other companies that, hey, we're able to raise this type of capital without you. So when we want to raise more capital, I think we need that. And it really helps us to be able to set our valuation and really raise the value of what we're doing.
Are you garnering any interest at this point?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So, and then explain to me how I make money if I sign up for, like, how many subscribers do you have at this point?
So it's not about subscribers on Fanbase, it's about users. So we have over 260,000 users.
Okay.
And so what that means is just like any social network, we have a user base. Every single person on the platform can turn themselves into the point of subscription. So you don't subscribe to Fanbase, you subscribe to individuals that you want to get specific content from. So if you're a really big Rihanna fan and she happens to be on Fanbase one day, you can subscribe directly to Rihanna and she can post content such as tutorials, docuseries, behind the scenes of her working on her album, all these different things that give you the ability to get that content from her. So we're turning every business, every person, every individual into their own Netflix. And so the importance of that is like now it gives people a reason to make content that they never had before, but it's also a great way to connect with your fan base or your customer base in that fashion.
Are you getting a lot of celebrity support?
We are, but I'm interested in it because I think it helps spur growth. But for the long-term growth of the country, it's more about just the regular users on the platform. The regular users on the platform, we're going to make Fanbase successful. I love celebrity support. I think it's great. But so if celebrities tend to come and go, right? They might be active for a little while, then they might not be, as opposed to our fantastic user base, which is active all day, every day, to the tune of about 1 hour and 21 minutes a day, which is way above what people are on, even with YouTube, which is about 40 minutes a day. So we're really having engagement on the platform that's really long time. So as we continue to scale that visibility and that traction that we have is going to continue to stay. So I look forward more to the growth of the traditional user base as opposed to celebrities.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as users are concerned, is there anything that you find, of course you're learning as you watch the platform, is there anything that you find surprising as far as users that you don't see on other networks?
The amount of time that they spend on the platform.
Really?
I mean, typically people spend maybe 29 minutes a day on Instagram, 20 minutes on Facebook, 40 on YouTube is probably the most, but 1 hour and 21 minutes a day on Fanbase, that's significant. That's a large, gap between the time, even the session time. Most people's session time, which means how they use it in spurts and they start and stop, is about 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Most people's session time on Fanbase is around 10 to 11 minutes. So they're using the app a lot more times a day. And then even in those sessions that they do, they're staying on the app 10, 12 minutes at a time.
What about traditional advertisers?
We don't run ads. And I think that separates us from a lot of platforms because traditionally on platforms like Instagram is in competition with its user base because for them to have a successful ad business, they can't allow everybody to see your content. Because if everybody could see everything that you posted, if you had 20 million followers, then you would have the visual equivalent of Sunday Night Football, and you in turn could charge a brand $811,000 for 30 seconds worth of your time to take over your page and show something. So for that, Instagram smushes your visibility down to about 3 to 4%.
As well as Facebook.
Yeah, and so they crush that down so they can run ads. And so they get the visibility. I even ran an exercise on my page that it would take me $10,000 to reach 1 million people in 7 days on using the boost feature on Instagram. So that means that if I can reach 1 million followers, I had 1 million followers on social media. That means I could charge $1 million over seven. I mean, I could charge $10,000 over 7 days. If I had 10 million followers, I could charge $10 million over 7 days. So I think it's or $1 million, I'm sorry. So it's an enormous amount of opportunity for people to be able to make money. So, that's the thing about it. Reaching 1 million users for $10,000, then, reaching 10 million users for $100,000, reaching 100 million users for $1 million. Those are the types of advertising opportunities that users will have, but Instagram doesn't do that. So on Fanbase, we allow everybody to see your content.
Okay, all right. And so what happens when people want to advertise stuff or they want to spam, or how do you rule that out?
I mean, that's just moderation, content moderation. You have to be better about that. I don't really knock the other platforms for having very sketchy content moderation because those are platforms that have billions of users. So it's hard to watch everything that instantly appears on your platform that may or may not offend somebody. Take care of it, pull it down. It's a huge task, right? So unless you're really good at it, you have a really, really good algorithm, and algorithms aren't perfect, there's going to be errors made. So we haven't struggled with spam and stuff like that up to this point, but we've gotten a few attempts to spam the platform, which means I think we're going in the right direction. So now that people feel like this is a place where we need to spam and advertise. So it's actually a good thing that people are trying to do so. So
Yeah. Now, you may or may not be able to answer this question, but how did you put together your database to actually to create the functions? Was that outside help, or did you do a lot of that yourself?
what do you mean as far as development of the app?
Yeah.
No, so I mean, my CTO who is part of Fanbase, and our team developed the platform. I was the big idea guy. They're the guys that make my ideas come to life, and it was a
Technical
great
work.
partnership.
Okay. All right. So how many people are on your team right now?
I want to say probably 26, including
Okay.
senior staff.
All right. What's the greatest challenge right now besides still raising money?
I think, finding the right recipe of
People.
algorithms and visibility that help the users really, really engage. Like, as much as engagement that we have right now, there's so much more that we can do and that we're working on to just connecting all these moving parts, because the app has several verticals of function, which means we have stories live, photo and video, audio, short form, and long form content. So to sew all of these individual functionalities together so that people can really use all of them simultaneously to send content or express themselves, there's a lot of work done, and we'll be doing that as we continue to go through Series A.
How was it putting together the team? Was that a challenge?
Not, not really. I think I was really blessed as far as my development team. The other key hires are people that I sought out, that I felt fit the culture of what we're doing. And we're really, experienced in what we do, and we need that type of experience to scale a company. So I'm really happy to have found the great people that work with Fanbase.
Okay. You're based in Atlanta?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So what's your goal as far as Atlanta is concerned? Do you want to build other businesses there, or you want to encourage other people to come there?
No, I mean, I want to scale Fanbase to one of the largest social media platforms that ever existed, that was founded in Atlanta, Georgia, a predominantly African American community. Knowing the value that Black culture brings to social media, I think this is the perfect place to do that. And so I'm just looking forward to turning this startup into a mega monster that people just can't stay away from.
Okay. A couple more questions. What do you see as the future of Fanbase? I mean, what would you like to get into? Maybe some other types of development, film or TV, or?
Absolutely. I mean, as we move into different types of content, I think there's enormous amounts of opportunity to get into like long form content, um, you know, um, content creation, music. There's so much more. I don't always really like, especially now since the competition per se is watching, I don't say too much.
Right.
While we continue to build, but there's a lot of room to grow.
Got it. Anything you want to add that I may have missed?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I really just think that other than that, we just have a lot of cool functionality on the way. Looking forward to, like I said, raising this next round of funding. It's going to change everything for us. So
How can people sign up?
they can just go to fanbase.app, or they can go to the iOS and Android stores and put in Fanbase. And it's in 170 countries, free to download, free to join, free to create pages, free to, use the platform. But if you would like to subscribe to someone, or you yourself would like to create content and have subscribers, you have the ability to do so.
One other question I want to ask: how did you get that name?
Fanbase?
I mean, well, I know Fanbase makes sense, but I'm saying I would have thought that would have been taken.
Well, so when I founded the company in 2018, the first thing that I did is trademark it. So before I ever wrote a line of code, in which I tell people, when you think you have a really great idea, try to get as much IP as you possibly can so that you don't hit roadblocks. So I trademarked that in the specific area in which we function as a startup. It got approved. I did it before I ever wrote any code, and before the app was even, the app was well in development, but I had already, filed the trademark, and then I started buying .coms like Fanbase.app, Fanbase.net, Fanbase.co. We don't have Fanbase.com because that went into some crazy auction. But yeah, it's common as the name Fanbase is. You think it would have been snatched up by now, but it wasn't. And then we were just fortunate to be able to have, the IP that we have.
And then getting a trademark is no easy process. That takes a minute.
It does, but I mean, if you really, do it early, because a lot of people abandon their trademarks. Having a trademark is one thing, but then being able to execute the idea past just a trademark, which there were other companies out there called Fanbase. They did a little different than what we did. So we were make sure that we carved out exactly who we are and what we do, and we can protect that as we continue to scale.
Well, congratulations, and
Thank you.
we'll definitely keep watching and see, and seeing your progress. I'm sure you'll be very successful.
Yeah,
And I'll definitely pass the word on, and I'm grateful to talk to you for these few minutes.
absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
So thanks for listening to me talk about your dad too. I know that must be annoying sometimes, but
Okay.
I'm sure you
He was
get
a
it a
great
lot.
man, great guy. So no harm and no better time to always talk about him for how amazing a person he was. So
All right. Take care,
all
bro.
right, all right, my guy. Thank you.
All right.
All right, later.